My husband turned into a monster after we got married and I got pregnant, but I never thought I would discover he was cheating on me while I was solo raising our son. Now divorce. Posted by you/Casey June July. Sorry in advance for the long post. I, 26F, have been with my husband, 29M, let's call him Kyle, for 7 years, married for 4. Our relationship began as something too good to be true. He was amazing, made my life so much brighter, and we were truly best friends from the start. We moved in together after only 3 weeks of knowing each other and were inseparable. We were the couple people would say, I just want something like you and Kyle, you two are so perfect for each other, and I agreed. We weren't each other's typical type, and it felt like the universe brought us together. A year and a half later, he planned an elaborate proposal, and we got engaged. It was magical, I couldn't have planned anything more special and romantic. We planned to get married a year and a half later. After a year, we went on our bachelor/bachelorette trips, and we had our first fight after being together for 2.5 years. Since my bachelorette party was a month before his, he set some ground rules: call every night when you get back to the house and no hanging out at houses with men for me or women for him. My bachelorette party went perfectly, without even a temptation of breaking the rules, just a weekend hanging out on the beach with my girls. Skip to his bachelor party, he disappears for 6 hours, no calls, no texts. Then I see on one of his friends' social media posts that they're hanging out with a group of girls, and in the video, Kyle is standing really close to a girl in a red bikini. They're talking, and she's holding his phone in her hand. I tried calling and texting him and his friends for hours without a response. When I finally got in contact with him, he said his phone was inside charging, and he was drunk and didn't think hanging out with the girls would be an issue. I'm not stupid, I know he most likely cheated on me. But I chose to go forward with the wedding, which was now only 3 months away, partly because I loved him and knew I'd forgive him eventually, and partly because my parents had already spent a lot of money on our wedding. Our wedding was beautiful, and it was a perfect day. Shortly after, COVID hit, and we were stuck, unable to live our normal life of going out and traveling often. 9 months into marriage, I found out that he had created a fake social media account. I say fake because it wasn't his main profile, but he used his real name, Stupid, and was following several women, one of whom was his ex. I made him pack his things and move out of our house. After being separated for 3 weeks, I found no evidence that he was actually contacting any of these women. He promised he'd never do something like that again. I forgave him, and he moved back in. My family also encouraged me to get back together with him. Our relationship had never been better, it felt stronger, and we were more connected. We bought our first house a year and a half later and found out I was pregnant 4 months after we moved in. This is where everything began to crumble. We did talk about me getting off birth control and decided it was the right time for us to start trying for a baby. But when I told him I was pregnant, he didn't have the reaction I thought he would. A big reason I fell in love with this man was because I knew he'd be a great father. He's amazing with other kids and always talked about wanting a family of his own. He's a big kid at heart. When it came to my pregnancy, he didn't want to talk about anything baby related and seemed to pretend the baby didn't exist. He started going out more without me and planned more guys' trips. I didn't mind. I'm more of a homebody and loved being at home, nesting and preparing for the baby. I thought he was feeling overwhelmed with the life change that was coming and just needed some time to let his hair down. I'm not a jealous person. I was very confident he wouldn't cheat on me because he was my best friend. I did everything for him, and his friends would often talk about how lucky he was to have me as his partner. I also think I'm quite beautiful. He also began to treat me more like a roommate during this crisis. We had a few small arguments in the past about him taking advantage of me cooking and cleaning for him without showing appreciation. He stopped taking me on dates or even asking if I wanted to go with him and his friends when they'd hang out. This was shocking to me because we had been inseparable for the last 5 years. 3 weeks ago, I found out that he cheated on me while on one of his boys' trips last summer. He met a girl at a bar, bought her drinks, danced and made out with her, and even took a picture together. They exchanged numbers, and the next day, she found out he was married. He then blocked her on all of his social media and her phone number. This is how I found her. 2 weeks before I found out about this girl, I discovered his anonymous online profile and saw that he had been sending explicit photos. I confronted him, and he apologized, saying he was depressed. I had already planned to leave and move in with my mom for a while. I couldn't shake the feeling that there was something else I was missing, so I checked his blocked accounts on social media and thought it was strange that there was a girl I didn't know on the list. I messaged her, and she spilled the tea, even telling me that his friends were lying with him, saying he was single. I confronted him, and he said she was lying, of course. I left and moved in with my mom. Since then, I have found out other information, Not as damning but still activity I wouldn't want my husband doing behind my back. I feel sick and devastated that he could do something like this to not only me but to our child. Did I mention I was at home alone for 8 days with our 5-month-old baby while he was on this trip where he made out with another girl? I feel like I sacrificed so much of my happiness for this man, trying to make his life as happy as possible, and he gave it all up for what? Like I said, I'm not stupid. I know there are probably more instances of him cheating, but I don't want to know. I'm already done. Relevant comments. Commenter. Okay, I'm going to need to know how he is taking the news of the divorce. Does he want to be part of the baby's life, or is he just happy you left so he can openly have sex now? Ops response. He thinks I will still come back to him, not surprising considering the past, but I am looking for houses and will not be going back. He stepped up as a father and loves being with our son. He sees him every chance he gets. Commenter 2. Do you mind me asking, when did he step up, though? Is it just to win you back? Has he been going on regular boys' trips for extended periods since your baby was born? Ops response. He started being more active in our son's life before I left him. He had been on a couple of trips before the baby was born, but I'd usually go with him. After the baby, it became more frequent, and I didn't go either because I wasn't asked or because I didn't want to leave my son for days at a time. I know a lot of people have an issue with boys' trips, but I don't want to go to 3 to 4 car shows a year or on multiple ATV rides. I thought I should be able to trust my partner to take trips focused on his interests without feeling like I had to go to babysit him. Commenter 3. There is so much emphasis on the proposal and wedding that I think people forget to choose a partner differently. You had too much icing and not enough cake. The focus was on the wrong elements. The right person could propose while watching your favorite program. I'm sorry this happened to you. Please learn from it and seek quality. Ops response. Trust me, if I could tell 19-year-old me not to fall in love with him and 22-year-old me not to marry him, I would. Update 9 months later. Not sure if anyone will care, but I found myself thinking about this post a lot and wanted to give an update. I posted here around 9 months ago about leaving my husband after finding out he had been cheating on me. The first few months were hard. I tried to maintain a friendship with him for the sake of our son but kept getting hurt over and over again, so I distanced myself. After a while, I decided to get on a dating app, mostly to keep my mind off him. I met someone, and we connected instantly. I'll call him Matt. We texted and talked for a week before meeting in person. I didn't think it would be serious, I just wanted to get out of the house and have some fun. Turns out, he's an amazing man. I didn't even know people like him existed. He's sweet and thoughtful. He makes me laugh until I can't breathe. He's understanding, supportive, and actually listens when I talk to him. He's a parent too and loves his kids more than anything. I've now been dating Matt for 6 months, and I don't think I've ever been this happy in my life. I look back at my marriage with Kyle in disbelief. How did I not notice how terrible he was for so long? Matt brings me flowers, surprises me with date nights, and gives me little gifts just to show he was thinking about me when we aren't together. Despite living an hour away, he brings food to me and my son when we're sick. If I'm having a bad day, he lets me talk his ear off and drops off my favorite sweets at my house. Matt is an amazing cook, and we trade off nights in the kitchen. When it's my turn to cook, he spends quality time with the kids. The laughter in the house is almost constant. This is so far from what my life was like with Kyle. My ex only sees our son about 4 days a month and is constantly finding excuses to leave him with me or drop him off with his grandparents for the weekend. Being with a man who loves his kids and mine has really opened my eyes to what kind of father Kyle is. Matt and I don't live together. He spends a lot of time at my house because my home is bigger, it accommodates all of us better than his, and I have my son almost every day. Despite not living with me, he helps clean, does laundry, and fixes things around the house. He always says I don't let him do enough, but he does more for me than anyone ever has in my life. He picks me up and takes on so much that he doesn't have to, but he does it with a smile on his face. He never lets a day pass without telling me how much he loves and appreciates me. I have learned from my past and won't be moving in with anyone anytime soon. I was fooled once, and that won't happen again. Neither Matt nor I want any more kids, so we are happy with the way our life is now, no pressure, just living happily alongside each other with our kids. To everyone out there hoping your partner will change and grow up, they won't, and most likely never will. Find someone who makes you happy because they want to, not because you're begging them to. There are good people out there. Relevant comments. Commenter. The way he treated your son during the pregnancy and the way he's treating him now is disgusting. He should give his parental rights to you because I'm sure he'll let this kid down over and over. Please keep us updated. Ops response. I have talked to Kyle about signing his rights over. His parents adore my son, and I think they'd disown Kyle if he ever did, So he's doing the bare minimum to keep them happy. Commenter 2. Do you think it was kind of soon for him to meet your kid? Ops response. I waited 6 months, and even now, their contact is relatively minimal. He might be too good to be true, but seeing the way he is with his daughters and how much they adore him tells me the good dad in him is very real. How did the ex take the news on Op dating again? He went ballistic. I've never seen him lose his cool, especially not like that. I'm sure he saw it as officially losing control over me. Before that, he was telling everyone that he knew I'd be back. Op's thoughts on how things were with Kyle in the relationship. Maybe so, it's hard when you still love them. I chose to leave before I had nothing but hatred in my heart for him, mostly because I have a child with him. I wasn't surprised when he treated me like crap anymore. I didn't even fight with him about the things he'd say and do. My idea of him was so much better than the reality of being with him. I realized I was in love with his potential, not him. It took me a very long time to come to terms with the fact that the person I loved didn't exist anywhere but in my head. My ex will always love his friends and beer more than anything else. When we were 19 and 22 and dating, it was fun, but being 26 and 29,